we go. Good afternoon. This is Dennis with the Active Trend Traders. Welcome to the How to Make Money Trading Stocks webinar that we do every Friday, or most Fridays, about 11 o'clock. Joining us for Zurich, Switzerland is Michael Bishop. This is this guy over here. Hi, Mike.
Hello. Hi, Dennis.
Michael was just sharing with me about how he was learning how or he's been utilizing a drone flying around some of the castles in Germany, getting some good video. And once he gets that video produced, that he would share it with us. I look forward to that, Michael. I really do.
Me too. Promised, yeah.
And so I want to remind everybody that all the materials we do present are for training purposes only. Traders should always paper trade any new method prior to the risk of their own personal capital. As you're aware, last Monday we did not have a Monday after the market session, simply because we got out there to California, and I've been taking care of some business for the house over in Hawaii, and also my wife and I have been taking care of our almost 4-year-old granddaughter and 2-year-old grandson. So not wanting to let those distractions lead to errors in trading, I have been kind of quiet this week, although we did do a couple of trades for profits earlier in the week. So there's a little bit about who I am. Now next week we will go back into our regular schedule. I will be back in Hawaii on Monday. I will not do a live after market on Monday, but what I'll do is I will record a video, just a really little quick 10 to 15 minute video on anything that is coming up that looks promising going into the week. So we'll treat it just like it is a regular, after hours Monday, but it'll just be a recording because I won't get back to Hawaii until about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon Hawaii time, which is way after the market is closed. And so I'll be on the aircraft flying back home. And so today we're going to basically just take a real quick look at market action. Some of the stocks we're looking at or have looked at, we sent out some alerts on it for the premium members, and try to keep this within 10 to 15 minutes. You have been given the keys, now learn to open the door. I really sense that the more a person does the education on what's going on in the market and applies a good, strong system, basically the capabilities have been provided. Now it's a matter of learning how to open that door, and sometimes that can be very challenging. Here's where we were as of about 9 o'clock this morning. Those of you who have been following the active trend trading know that we closed, and we put in a order to close out our NVDA straddle position, because we opened that on around the 26th of May, and NVDA has gone straight up, and so it made a real quick 50%, and we just shut the sucker down and just said, you know what, our target was 50% in a half a year. We'll just go ahead and take the profit now and reset that up again. So let's take a look at the indexes. That is not the one I want, but we'll go back over. There we go. SPX, interesting. Michael, I'm finding this very interesting on SPX. It basically broke out a couple of weeks ago above the 2406 level, 2405 level, and ran up to the 2440 level, and then has kind of gone sideways from there. I'm looking at today's candlestick. This is a shooting star type candlestick, which is a bearish reversal signal if we close approximately where we're at. On a weekly chart, let's blow this up a little bit. What are we getting? We're getting what's called a bearish harami, which is also a bearish reversal signal. Now, of course, if we take out the high, that voids the signal. But as we look here, let me get my drawing utensils up. And what are we seeing here? We're seeing basically a little bit of a TSI on a daily basis has reached up to a resistance. This is now kind of turning over. Momentum has rolled over a little bit, and the longer term momentum on the market forecast has also rolled over. We're seeing something similar with negative divergence on the weekly basis, and it looks like it could also roll back over, and then what we'd call a three-line cluster, which is all three of the momentum indicators being in the upper above the 80 level on the which is considered the upper reversal zone, where it oftentimes is telltale that the momentum to the upside is waning when that in fact happens. And so I'm not going to say that it's going to roll over and fall out of the sky like that, but it may be just saying, hey, I'm ready to roll over, pull back to the moving averages, and then bounce, because that's exactly what's happened going back all the way to, if we go back here, to June of last year. We rolled over, came back down to the 40-week moving average. Same thing in October before we went on to the real nice surge. Came back to the 8-period moving average earlier in April, and came back a little bit in May. And so it may be time for it to just roll back and pull back just to those levels. And so let's see if it, let me see what Bob has a question here. It voids a signal, question mark. What that is, Bob, is if the high is taken out on this candlestick here, it voids this signal being a bearish shooting star. And so that's what that is. And so if you want to know more about those particular signals, please go to the website and do the review on candlesticks, which is under the training webinars for premium members. So Michael, you see anything going on here? I mean, you've been away for a while, and so I don't know what what you've been looking at with the European market, but just anything you see here on the S&P.
Well, I mean, my big surprise, the big topic of today is the vote in the UK, and I mean, the story is pretty ridiculous. I mean, May was the new prime minister, and she was not elected by the people, just elected by the party as follower after the Brexit disaster, and then in kind of new phase, and she looked like a hardliner, and the opinion polls were very positive, and she had an absolute majority, but with only a couple of single seats over 50%.
Ah, okay.
And so she thought that's a good opportunity. And the Labour Party, which has kind of a very leader, almost a Marxist, some say. I can't touch on that. And so this is he will, and he had really, I think he was also kind of new and had known as really a reputation as kind of a ridiculous guy, and so she just announced new elections and was hoping to get a strong majority. And the excuse was, with a strong majority, she has a very clear position towards the Brexit negotiations with the EU.
Okay.
And I mean, just my feeling was this could go wrong too, but the market was extremely silent. It was kind of priced in that she will win, like same as in France. And Yeah, and today, surprise, surprise, she lost, and she has an extremely. She has not the. I think she has not the 50% anymore. So it's a disaster, you could say. It's a disaster for her, and it's also a disaster for Great Britain, and it shows kind of how yeah how emotional the whole voters react currently. And I mean, the absolute surprise that the market did not respond to this at all. So
Okay. So
I don't know what happens now, or what happened, or what is just now happening this afternoon. But
so
when the result was announced, it was a little. You see a little dip. I mean, it was not during trading hours in US, but you see a little dip in the futures.
yeah.
And that was it.
Okay. Well, we'll see what transpires over the weekend, huh?
Yeah.
Because one thing, guys, that they may give us a clue on is oftentimes if the market is pointing down or the potential of slipping down, that gives us an opportunity with gold or the gold miners. So we'll see if that happens. So moving right along, the NASDAQ showing some weakness today. Basically, we had hanging men, several of them spinning tops right at resistance at the 5,900 level, and then we rolled over today. The NASDAQ, we have basically a split market today, or mixed market, with the Dow, the S&P up, the Russell up, NASDAQ down, and down nicely. I mean, if we finish where we are right now on a weekly basis, which we've got everything pointing down, and a bearish engulfing pattern on the weekly, that could bring us back down into the moving averages, which it is extended away from it. But again, we'll still treat this as if it is a sideways move down to support and then a bounce from there. Russell was looking pretty good earlier in the day, and as you can see, yeah, it did a breakout above this past high here, but now has fallen back down into the level of back down into the levels of resistance. And so right now it is kind of a weak kind of breakout, because we can see where the sellers came in and really sold it back down. However, it is looking up here, even though this is certainly a negative divergence on a weekly basis, but it's making a rally attempt with the S&P and with the Russell. And remember, the Russell was slow to rebound early on. So we take a look here, nice rebound that on the 31st off the 100-day moving average, and also this uptrending channel, and it's pushed it on up outside the limits. And so on all of the indexes, I basically would not be wanting to jump in any of them at this point. So let's finish up, and then I'll come back to a couple of stocks. Okay, the percentage of stocks above the 20-day moving average, as you can see, we have had no real strong signal for the early warning alerts this year, because we have had no closes since November last year below this 30% level. However, we did get into one alternative move earlier in the year, picked up a quick 5.5%, almost 6% on that one. As we stand right now, this is showing that the small caps and also the non-weighted indexes have caught on and are pushing up higher with the S&P. So it looks like the Russell, the NYSE has caught on to what's going on. Right now, we're open a position. We opened a position earlier this week in Momo on 6/5, which was Monday. We took a quick 5% off the table on that one, and we still have half the position left. We opened a position on Nugget, anticipating and planning for the move higher into the seasonality of the gold and gold miners. Tesla and NVDA. Tesla and NVDA there are stocks that we want to keep our eye on because they are moving. They're moving a lot, but the timing has got to be absolutely perfect. Analysts had targeted about over 360, and as you're aware, Tesla went well over that mark earlier this week. So the reality of trend trading: one, you got to know the trend, define the area of interest or value. That's where you're going to take action, and define the trigger, the strategy, and the targets that you'll be utilizing. Those are areas where you can control those things. And remember, if the mechanical side of your trading isn't working, check the mental, physical, and spiritual side, because if they oftentimes go together. If one side's not working, the rest of them is not working either. As you can see, we pushed on up higher here, June to date. We hit our mark. This is a reflection last month of selling the Tesla position out on strategy 3, where we made 100% on that. We made 50% on the NVDA position, and so it is continuing to push higher. And then what the next is basically around the first part of March, or mid part of March, we introduced the our active trend trading rules by the numbers. And as you can see, we started calling out our trades by the numbers for the entries. And as you can see, since this period here, we've just had a nice number of focusing on 7 leverage ETFs along with a couple of stocks, and have done very good. Our win-loss ratio is up over 66%, so we're good with that. Here's what strategy 3 is doing so far this year. S&P, the strategy, because it continues to push up, so its residual value and the value of the premiums we've taken in, up 24%. NVDA, we closed that out today simply because it took off like a rocket ship right from the beginning. Closed that out at somewhere between, and depending on where you closed out, where you got in, somewhere around 50 to 56%. Tesla 100%. Nugget was not performing. We closed that out earlier in the year. So just a reminder, guys, I want to keep this really quick and short. I'm going to show a couple of stocks and then close it off for good. And so just remember, I am still looking 2017, a season of explosive growth. We're doing well in that. We'll be going into the final hour here at straight up 12 noon California time for premium members. And so until Monday, aloha, trade wisely and profitably. And so with that, hey, real quick, Michael, while I'm turning over to, so anything last and final comments, Michael, before we close off for today?
Well, I am very curious, and that we're looking very close what these NASDAQ stars do, like NVDA, BABA, and what was the and Baidu. I mean,
okay, Baidu, yeah.
Baidu. I mean, these 3 stocks really.
Okay, we'll take a real quick look at it. Hey, here's Tesla, guys. I'm looking at this. This is a daily. This is a weekly. As you can see, we are getting a bearish engulfing on a daily basis, which means we may pull back. Where might it pull back to? There is a level of support here at the 340 level. And again, the analyst had called 360 as the high. It pushed on above that up to 376 NVDA. So I'm not taking action on this right now, but I will be putting on a strategy 3 trade on this, and going into next week. And I will be, once I get back and get settled down into, we will be sitting nicely. Okay, let's see. NVDA. NVDA is what I talked about. Pushed up really hard, almost up to 170 today, and then rolled over. This is a significant bearish Arami, or bearish engulfing pattern, which may foretell pulling back into a level of past support, which 137 looks interesting. And then they also got the strong support down here at 120. Baidu. What was that other one? Baidu's looking really ugly right now. Michael, I mean, it's selling off.
Yeah, I think it was kind of the first one that collapsed. Yeah, but no, it's unbelievable. I mean, yesterday it was heading towards new highs.
Yep.
And then it completely reversed.
And so Baidu, what was the other one you had?
Baba.
Alibaba. Again, Alibaba. These are, clearly these are not signs of strength. This looks like an exhaustion gap, and now it's being covered today with a bearish engulfing. Somebody told me, or that I was reading, is that the Chinese stocks was weakening today, and here again, this is Momo, had been very, very strong, but if it breaks and closes below, below 37, I want to be out of my short position, or out of my long position on this, and I don't know if it's going to close there today or not. So what percentage of strategy one has been invested in the market? Dorothy, we've been trying to build that up where we'd be fully invested with Strategy One, which would have been about $76,000 to $80,000 with the new level. I think we'd made it up to about 55 to 60% non-margined, and so we are trying to build that up when the trading says that it's time, it's time to go ahead and get long. So, okay, anyway, that's, let's see if I'm losing anything else. Keep your eye on, and I will throw these out next week, Grub. Grub's just trying to figure out what it's going to do. Based on the weekly chart, it may just roll over and fall, and then LABU had been looking kind of strong, but it took off. But what did it do? It got right up here in this level of resistance, and it is rolling over. This may give us a switch over to the LABD, which is the inverse, and it may give us a chance to go the other way. And here's LABD, and we'll cover that more next week. That's looking like it could run, and it's sitting at about $9. It has not had a TSI tick up yet, but if we go from here back about here back to 11, it's about 20%, and do that very quickly. So with that, I'm going to call it a day, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and if you're a premium member, we'll see you at 12 noon for the final hour. God bless everybody. Have a great weekend. Thanks, Michael.
Thanks. A nice weekend altogether. Bye.
Be careful with that drone.
No plans for this weekend.
Okay.